This is the Paul Reviews Movies podcast, where on a weekly basis I review a movie. I'll talk about my pros and cons, or a TV show, TV series. And this week I wanted to go ahead and talk about Planet of the Apes, War for the Planet of the Apes. There are spoilers. Now I'm going to go into my pros. There are a couple of different genres within this movie, particular movie genres. It's a road trip movie, which I liked. It's a prison break movie. And of all the Apes movies, this one is very ape-centric in the sense that it's really from the apes' perspective, as opposed to like kind of the humans and then the apes are secondary. This is definitely apes first, and then the humans definitely second. I also enjoyed I'm forgetting his name right now, but the crazy chimp that Caesar and his group met during the road trip. His eyes were so expressive, and he's always wearing this funny little vest. He was great as well. The little girl, who was the emotional center of the movie, the character of Nova, there were a couple of times that I even got emotional, especially during the death scene of the big gorilla that was part of Caesar's four-man group. It's himself, Maurice, and then the two other apes. It's almost like a lieutenant, and then he had like this big, strong ape. And the moment that he died, and the whole connection between him and the little girl, which was established like in two scenes, I really felt it. Andy Serkis's performance, come on, already. Isn't this guy winning some kind of awards for his performance in these movies? I mean, he's incredible in these movies, and in this one especially, where he has so much more screen time. I just don't understand why this guy has not won an award yet, or if he has already. I'm not sure. I have to research that. But this man deserves some high praise and recognition for his role as Caesar. My final pro was the effects of the apes and their hair, which is not new to this movie. Like, you have seen that in the previous two movies, for Rise of the Planet of the Apes and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I think in this movie it takes it up another level. When it really kind of shows is when the little girl is like kind of riding with them in the horses, and you see like their hair, it's like frazzled, or when there's water effects. It really is mind-blowing in terms of how realistic this looks. It's incredible. And actually, I had one more pro, was the supporting cast of the apes. The evil ape that had a lot of screen time near the end, his whole turn and his story. And mind you, that this is all happening without even many words from the apes. There's some conversations there, but this is all more body language, and like I said, delivered it impeccably. Like I said, these were all my pros, and my cons are not many, because I very much enjoyed this movie. I have 3 cons, and one of them being that we didn't get enough time with Woody Harrelson. I thought that he was really fantastic in this movie as a bad. He's established as a really heavy bad in the very beginning of the movie, when he goes ahead and kills some of Caesar's family. I wanted to spend more time with him. I wanted to see him become even more evil and do even more evil things. That's the only thing. I also didn't like everything was explained in one sitting. I'm not a big fan of that, when you get like this explain-o conversation of everything in one sitting. And it's effective. I'm not saying, especially time-wise, if you're doing a movie, and I don't like when everything is explained in the end of the movie. Like the movie that did that was the very first Underworld. There's a series of events going on. You don't know what's going on, and then at the end of the movie is when you get the explanation. And I sometimes hate that. It works in like a horror movie setting sometimes, or in a thriller, and depending on how you're planting the seeds. But when everything is explained in one shot at the end, not a big fan of that. And it had this kind of thing in this movie when Woody Harrelson explains why people are going mute, or what happened, and everything is explained. This one conversation in the bunker when Caesar's brought to him, and I wasn't crazy about that. I guess my final con with the movie was there was a very interesting opposing group of humans to Woody Harrelson's group, and I would have really liked to dig in more to what is the motivation for this group. It just basically was a group that just disagreed with him, and they were coming to take him out. And it was a pretty big group of, especially in the end when you see this humongous group of people. It seemed like those folks outnumbered Woody Harrelson's group. But I would have liked to know more about that group. It just called me curious. But overall, my score for War for the Planet of the Apes is an 8 out of 10. I very much enjoyed this movie. Had very minimal cons with it. And that's that for now. Next week, I will be reviewing Dunkirk. find more of my movie reviews on the YouTube channel. I've been doing movie reviews for almost a year now. I didn't even realize that until I got like this Facebook status thing. But you can find a lot of my old reviews on the YouTube channel, which I will link up to in the show notes for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Catch you on the next one.